There we go. Okay, so open Board of Health. We had a total of 3 complaints. It was an animal bite, a dog, and then we had 2 miscellaneous, one for a foodborne illness, however, it could not be attributed to the site, and then the other was for new Dollar Tree on Lanola Road has been found in compliance with the food beverage vending machine code. So pretty light month. But I will say our dog bites are, I get 2, 3, sometimes 4 in a week. So I have had a conversation with our animal control. We're going to try to put some sort of plan together, I spoke to him today, working with our humane law enforcement officer down there and starting to basically get them to issue some citations to the people that are letting their dogs just roam free. And so we're going to put a plan together because it's just too many. And they're not registered, so half the time we can't even find out who the owner is. So that's the end of my report.
Okay, this is a open public meeting for the Board of Health. Is there any members of the public that would bring anything regarding the Board of Health meeting? Seeing none, a motion to close the open session.
So made.
Second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
A motion to adjourn the public health meeting.
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Presentation, financial audit.
Yes, that's me.
I gathered that. Wasn't going to be me.
So we had discussed a little bit about our audit at the last meeting, and then since then, on August 30th, we did have our annual exit conference. Township Auditor Bowman and Company performed our annual audit back in February and March of this year, and our assigned auditor, Todd Saylor, then conducted this conference with us. Mayor was there with us. In Todd's words, there was very little to discuss. It was a very quick exit conference. I don't think I've ever sat through that short of an exit conference. And he said this is certainly the least amount of discussion items that he could ever remember in his time with the Township of Maple Shade. Some of the items that were noted during the conference just for discussion related to ongoing periodic review of open purchase orders, possible disposition of expenditures of uncollected grant balances, and just other things that are routine and have been occurring on a regular basis, but that they have to mention to say, hey, this is what you need to do. This audit is definitely a clear indication of the excellent work that's being done by our finance department, our department heads. I can't thank them all enough. Without them, we wouldn't have had such a great audit. And, the other thing is it just means everybody's learned new processes, new procedures. They are working, and we will just continue to work towards next year of nothing to talk about. So this evening you did sign off on the audit, and you'll do the resolution accepting it. So,
Okay. Good job. Thank you.
Okay, ordinances, introduction and first reading. Ordinance number 2023-20, an ordinance amending the salaries and wages of certain officers and employees of the Township of Maple Shade and the County of Burlington, the State of New Jersey, effective January 1, 2023. I have a motion for introduction.
So moved.
Second.
Comments? Roll call, please, Terry.
Ms. Nunes?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Approved?
Mrs. Volpe?
Yes.
Mr. Wiest?
Approved.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes. Ordinance number 2023
Publication.
Oh, I'm sorry. Publication date September 19th, 2023. Public hearing on October 12th, 2023. Ordinance number 2023-21, an ordinance in the Township of Maple Shade, the County of Burlington, and the State of New Jersey, to amend Maple Shade Township Code, Chapter 114, Article 3, motels and temporary housing accommodations. There's a motion to introduction.
So made.
Second.
Comments? Roll call, please, Terry.
Ms. Nunes?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Approved?
Mrs. Volpe?
Yes.
Mr. Wiest?
Approved.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes. Ordinance in second reading.
Same thing,
Publication.
publication. Sorry.
Publication date September 19th, 2023, with a public hearing on October 12th, 2023. Now, ordinance in second reading and public hearing. Ordinance number 2023-14, bond ordinance providing for various 2023 general capital improvements and by and in the Township of Maple Shade in the County of Burlington, the State of New Jersey, appropriating $2,270,000, therefore including 2 grants in the aggregate of the amount of $225,000, and authoring the issuance of $1,947,000 of bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof. This is an open public hearing. Any members of the public that would like to address this? Seeing none, a motion to close the public hearing.
So made. Second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Comments? Roll call, please, Terry.
Ms. Nunes?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Approved?
Mrs. Volpe?
Yes.
Mr. Weist?
Approved.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes. Ordinance number 2023-15, bond ordinance providing for the various 2023 utility improvements by and in the Township of Maple Shade in the County of Burlington and the State of New Jersey, appropriating $2,050,000, therefore, and authorizing issuance of $1,952,000 of bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof. This is an open public hearing on this ordinance. Is there any member of the public that would like to come to council? Seeing none, have a motion to close the public hearing.
So made.
Second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
So made. Second?
Comments? Roll call, please, Terry.
Ms. Nunes?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Approved?
Mrs. Volpe?
Yes.
Mr. Weist?
Approved.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes. Ordinance number 2023-16, bond ordinance providing for the various water system improvements by and in the Township of Maple Shade in the County of Burlington, the State of New Jersey, appropriating $4,500,000 and therefore issuing the issuance of $4,500,000 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof. Again, this is an open public hearing on this ordinance. Is there any members of the public that would like to address this? Seeing none, I have a motion to close the public hearing.
So made.
Second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adopt?
So made.
Second.
Comments? Roll call, please, Terry.
Ms. Nunes?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Approved?
Mrs. Volpe?
Yes.
Mr. Weist?
Approved.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes. Ordinance number 2023-17, an ordinance of the Township of Maple Shade in the County of Burlington, New Jersey, adopting a privately owned salt storage program. Again, this is an open public hearing on this ordinance. Is there any members of the public that would like to address it? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So made. Second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Comments? Roll call, please, Terry.
Ms. Nunes?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Approved?
Mrs. Volpe?
Yes.
Mr. Weist?
Approved.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes. Ordinance number 2023-18, ordinance of the Township of Maple Shade in the County of Burlington, New Jersey, to amend supplemental Maple Shade Township Code, Chapter 114, License and Permits, to add Article 6, filmmaking.
I had to think about it too.
Filmmaking. This is an open public hearing. Any members of the public would like to address anything on this ordinance? Seeing none, I have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second. I don't know who you want to get.
You got it, Terry.
Yes.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
So made. Second.
Comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. Nunes?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Approved?
Mrs. Volpe?
Yes.
Mr. Weist?
Approved.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes. Ordinance number 2023-19, an ordinance of the Township of Maple Shade, the County of Burlington, amending Chapter 4, Administration of Government, and Chapter 21, Land Use Procedures
22.
of the Township Code of the Township of Maple Shade, so as to merge the Planning Board and Zoning Board of Adjustment to establish a joint land use board. This question asks the voters to decide. There will be an election in November, and it would be subject to their approval in order to approve this ordinance. This is an open public hearing. If there's any members of the public that would like to address this ordinance, please come forward. Seeing none, I have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Comments? Roll call, please, Terry.
Ms. Nunes?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Approved?
Mrs. Volpe?
Yes.
Mr. Weist?
I've had time to think about this since it was introduced at the last meeting, and I don't think it's in the best interest of the residents of Maple Shade, the business owners of Maple Shade, or the new people coming in. So I'm a no.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes. Public portion for the consent agenda. Any members of the public that wants to speak on any of the consent agenda items, from Resolution 149 through Resolution number 154? Any members of the public? Okay, seeing none, a motion to close the public portion.
So made.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda. Resolution R-149, resolution authorizing establishment of lien for property maintenance for Block 1, Lot 10. Resolution 2023 R-150, approved temporary street closure for fire prevention open house Friday, October 6, 2023, from 5 to 10 p.m. Resolution 2023 R-151, approved governing body certification of the 2022 annual audit. Resolution number 23 R-152, resolution requesting approval of items in revenue and appropriation of New Jersey statutes annotated 4A:4-87-NJSYNODELCA, Holy Trinity Legacy Gift to the Food Bank of Maple Shade. Resolution number 2023-153, authorizing shared services agreement between Maple Shade Township and the Maple Shade Board of Education for Class 3 officer services. Resolution number 2023 R-154, award contract to Booth Mechanical, Inc. for a fire hydrant replacement program as the lowest responsible bidder for a total amount of $143,500. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So made.
Second.
Comments? Roll call, please, Terry.
Ms. Nunes?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Approved.
Mrs. Volpe?
Yes.
Mr. Weist?
Approved.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes. Approval of expenditure list. Susan?
Thank you. Current fund bill is $243,139.20. Utility fund bill is $323,263.56. Capital fund bill is $3,127.60. Utility capital, $42,557.30. Our trust fund bill list was $235,327.90, and our grant fund bill list is $4,767.41. I have reviewed the above bill list as submitted and recommend payment when funds are available.
I have a motion to approve the expenditure list.
Made.
Second.
Comments? Roll call, please, Terry.
Ms. Nunes?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Approved.
Mrs. Volpe?
Yes.
Mr. Weist?
Approved.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes. Approval of the August 2023 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Comments? Roll call, please, Terry.
Ms. Nunes?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Approved.
Mrs. Volpe?
Yes.
Mr. Weist?
Approved.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes. This is the public portion. If there's any members of the public who would like to address council on any items, please come forward. Motion to close the public portion.
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Staff and professional comments. Councilman Weist.
Yes, sir.
Start us off so we can all do it again.
The VFW has put out an invitation for CPR training. They'll be hosting an opportunity for 20 Maple Shade residents to become CPR certified. There will be 2 classes of 10, one on October 20 at 9 a.m., another on November 5 at 9 a.m. Both classes will be held at the VFW post. This is a first-come, first-served basis for Maple Shade residents only. For further information, you can call the VFW post at 856-667-9581 or email victoriagable@gmail.com. Victoria Gable would be all one word. You can become CPR certified at no cost as the VFW is paying for the training. This Sunday, September 17th, the Maple Shade Business Association is running a fundraiser for their Maple Shade High School Scholarship Program. It is a pizza fest. It is being held at the Olden Cafe from 12 to 3 p.m. From 12 to 1 p.m., all attendees will get a chance to sample all pizzas. It's called the Bite Hour. You get an opportunity to sample all the different pizzas from 10 different Maple Shade pizza stores. After that, you'll be able to buy slices of pizza from the favorites you've tasted. For tickets and more details, visit www.thinkmapleshade.com/pizzafest. Monday, September the 11th, our township manager, police chief, and 3 of his officers, Mayor Kaufman, Councilwoman Nunes, and I, met with owners and management of the Fox Meadow Apartments to see their latest facility and listen to what their intentions are for further development of their property. They are proposing a very interesting plan. However, through detailed discussion, we suggested they continue making improvements to their existing property before they consider expanding further. That's it for me.
Thank you, Councilman.
Absolutely.
Councilwoman Nunes.
Good evening, all. I just wanted to thank Commander Jay Renwick and the VFW veterans and the many volunteers that they had there, Post 2445. They had the clam bake, which was a huge success. The people that came out to support were amazing from this town, from surrounding towns. It was just a sight to see. It went out without a hitch, and the veterans and the VFW, they do so much for the town, and it was nice to see it paid back. So I just wanted to mention that, and they did a fabulous job, and again, thank you. And just a quick call out to one of our shaders that does not live here any longer, but is always here in our hearts and on Facebook and knowing everything that's happening, is Michelle McComas. I'd like some support for her and some prayers and positive energy sent her way, because she again is an integral part for many years. The McComas name, McComas Fox, now has done so much for this town in so many ways. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that she does need your support, and her family, so please just think of them, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councilwoman Volpe.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank the Finance Department as well as all the other departments in the township for giving us a successful audit. Thank you, Susan, for implementing the new procedure so that this was able to be accomplished. And unless I haven't heard correctly, I think we had a very good, successful start to the school year.
It went smoother than in some years past, yes.
Okay.
And I think a lot of the effort goes towards the school district. We obviously had some meetings and tried to get the things dialed in. Yoakum School, they added some parking back there that really helped.
Yes.
And I think it got the cars off the street. We did have a few people who were parking next to our cones in the crosswalks. We had to address some of those folks, but overall, it went a lot smoother.
better.
And I'm appreciative to our whole team. We had everybody out there, obviously, at every single school, so it went well. I know the school district appreciated it.
Yes. And I hope they all have a wonderful school year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. That's it.
Deputy Mayor Schmidt.
Besides everything all of my compadres here brought up, I would just like to mention and pass my condolences along to the Anazak family.
Yes.
Mike, the Mike I know, young Mike, his father passed. He was a police officer of us for 27 years, I think it said,
About that, yeah.
somewhere in that area. So he'll be missed, and Mike is still with us as our code enforcement guy. So just wanted to put my condolences to their family.
Can I say something else? I'd also like to send condolences out to the Hilbert family. Tommy passed away. And also, someone who you, I think, will remember, Mrs. Bergen, Dr. Sherry's secretary. I just saw that she passed as well. And her daughter was a speech therapist at Maple Shade for many years. So condolences to their families as well.
All right. I did have the opportunity to sit in on the exit audit. Again, kudos to everybody involved in that, Susan. I mean, Scott really was, I got to tell you these things, but quite honestly, they're no real big impact on you. Just a couple things you need to take note of. No correction plans needed. So that was happy to see that. That was very good. So kudos to all those involved in that, Susan. I had an opportunity last week, I don't remember what day it was, to attend the grand opening of the new location for Amp to Dance. They moved from their Fork Landing Road site to the new location on Main Street next to the pizza store, and they did a nice job on revamping that, and it looked very, very nice. So thanks there. Like Councilman Weiss said, we did have an opportunity to visit with Fox Meadow, and I think we impressed on them that what they've done so far is very, very nice. But you can't do something very, very nice here while the rest of the facility is in need of a lot of different things. I know Chief had brought his concern about security there. I know they talked about doing some very nice things with some restaurants and things like that. And I know Councilman Weiss had mentioned, well, if you don't have good security, people are not going to want to come into your restaurant. So I think they heard us. We'll see. And we told them that, we'll be watching to see what happens. We do have several interested citizens that live out there, and they are in constant contact with us, letting us know what's going on out there. So we'll be watching to see if because the owners, Campson Corporation, who owns the facility, were both there, which is the first time I ever had a meeting with any of those people. So maybe they heard us. We'll see. That's all I have. Old business, Susan. Operations?
Yep. On August 31st, our Director of Business and Economic Development and I met with staff from Maple Shade High School, along with the board president, Mike McClure, to introduce our idea of bringing intern opportunity to our 12th grade students, along with an opportunity for these students to be introduced to local government. So together, Jen and I are going to be working with the school district to provide opportunities to these students who may not be interested in formally attending a four-year college or university, and instead are interested in the trades or local government work. Jen is working with the local businesses. She has right now about 12 or 13 businesses that are interested in getting these kids involved. On our side here, locally in local government, it will be a learning, like a lunch and learn, the first half of the school year. That'll start in October, and then in January, we will bring them in for a couple hours each week. They'll get to see the different departments, and really just, we want to introduce them to local government, because local government is hemorrhaging. We don't have people. We can't get people. It's difficult. So we've talked about the police department, but we're going to introduce these kids, show them civil service has already jumped on board with us. They think it's a great idea. Ironically, that they want to work in conjunction with me because they know how I feel about them. But they will be down to help us. They offered, but they will be down to give their help and show people what they have and show these kids what it is, what the process is, how you get started, which is good. And then I'll be having a department head meeting Tuesday morning, and I'll be introducing to the department heads just basically what we're looking. So Jen and I are really hoping that this pulls together. We give our own kids, our own community, the opportunity to stay here in Maple Shade, work here from Maple Shade. So it's a really exciting time. The school district is excited about it. It'll start as a pilot program, but then they're going to be working to hopefully get credits for these kids too. They'll be able to use them towards graduation. So on Monday evening, Jen will be hosting the meet and greet with the new Business and Economic Development Commission members. It's an informal meeting. We're going to be meeting over at Pizzeria Uno. Just kind of get them together. Her agenda is excellent. She gave homework out to everybody for this meeting, so it should be a really good meeting and a way to really kick off that group. The other thing, too, that we will be doing on November 20th, you'll learn more about it, but there will be a business appreciation night where we're going to invite all of the business owners in town to come, and we're going to ask council to be there, and it is called Connecting and Cultivating. So just some exciting things that we got off the ground with our new Director of Business and Economic Development. DPW had to repair the inside of one of our concession stands earlier this week after a water line break was found. It flooded out the interior, so they replaced drywall, new cabinets. They repaired all the plumbing in there, so now it's set and ready to go. You also may have noticed the trees on Main Street got a haircut this week. So DPW crews were out trimming back dead limbs, cleaning up the trees along Main. Typically, this is something that the county would handle, but we've been able to work in coordination with the county, with our shared services. We took this task from them, and they're going to help us with some line striping, some curb painting, and whatnot. So it's really, it's a good shared service. Our North Coles and Collins Lane project. This seems to be a never-ending project that is continuing to haunt us. We met with the engineer of record for the project and the contractor back in late March, early April, to discuss the punch list items and other areas of concern. We were assured at that time by the engineer and the contractor that the issues would be addressed promptly. It's now middle of September, and they still have not been addressed, even though we've been regularly following up and requesting for status. So we will be pursuing other means to recoup any of our losses and ensure that the outstanding work that still needs to be done and the corrections that need to be done are done now. So we will be doing that, and I'll be reaching out to Eileen to give her the further information. Marion Lane was recently paved. However, after a municipal inspection last week, we found the work to be subpar. We have curbing that is completely destroyed already, that was destroyed from the paving machine. It's definitely not worthy of the final payout that they asked us, so we are holding payment. As such, the inspection generated a list of close to 300 feet of curbing that must be replaced, not fixed, replaced. We have to remove manhole lids and frames to be replaced with new. We have to correct ponding. We have to replace about 4 aprons that now need to be removed and reinstalled. Concrete walkways to be removed and repoured, and grass restoration, to name a few. We weren't very nice to the engineer, so if you hear that along your ways, we were not nice. They did not have an inspector out there. It's apparent there was no inspector. They paved right over manholes that were originally supposed to be replaced. They paved over them. So the residents on Marion Lane and the community, rest assured, this is going to be fixed. We're going to stay on top of the contractor and be something that's worthy of acceptance. This is unacceptable. So, and we pay these people good money to look after these projects so that we don't have to be out there every day. But they definitely got a piece of our mind, and we are going to make sure that it gets corrected appropriately and correctly. Other projects that I just want to mention that the township is currently working on include Front Street from Fork Landing to Stiles. That's repaving, curb, sidewalk, and infrastructure. We're waiting on the final funding for that. Rose Avenue, we've discussed with all the breaks that we've had out there. We've requested the engineer to come up with an engineering estimate that would be complete infrastructure and paving. North Coles from Lancey to Park, we're waiting on award of New Jersey DOT grant funding. Our electrical vehicle chargers here at the municipal building lot and also at the municipal parking lot off Main, we're waiting on PSE&G to provide a quote to the vendor. Collins Lane Park, which will be low-level solar lighting and electrical upgrades, line striping, utility infrastructure upgrades, and the Maple Shade Food Bank upgrades. So we have a lot of projects going on. It seems like we're waiting for other vendors to do their part, but it is stuff that we are working on. Township is also currently looking for a part-time cashier for our tax and utility office. We're looking for someone Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, approximately 15 hours per week. Candidate should enjoy working with people and have some experience such as cash handling, ability to use a calculator, and basic computer knowledge. Interested candidates may pick up an employment application here in Town Hall. They can download one online or submit a letter of interest with their experience to my attention. And that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask a
Questions for
question?
Susan?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you can answer.
I can't
If you
think
figure
of it. Yeah, I can't remember. It was, I think it was early in your report, and I didn't write it down. That's
Okay.
okay, never mind. I'll
Okay.
think of it.
Well, come back
Okay,
to you.
think
It'll
about it.
come back.
Any other
Oh, here,
questions?
I remember.
Okay.
The money for this food bank, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah,
That the,
we got a grant.
we got, well.
So we got the grant of
church-
$125,000,
The
and then
church
Holy
loan.
Trinity
Right.
donated
What is that,
$97,000.
the Holy Trinity money going to be used for?
So that has to be only used for the food bank. So what we are doing, we are using it, I spoke with ladies from the food bank, we're going to sit down and have a full meeting, but part of that money will be used to the upgrades that we're going to do.
Okay.
But it's also going to give them the opportunity to be, if they need something, if they need food, they'll be able to go. It's just,
Okay.
that portion of the funding has to go through the municipality. They didn't have a 501c3, so we hold it for them as their representative, and tonight was one of your resolutions tonight
Right.
for Chapter 159. So
Okay.
they are ecstatic, So what we're planning on doing is basically that $97,000 will be the things that after the renovations are done, it'll be the little things that they want. It might be a different type of
But it
shelving.
could also be for food supplies.
It will 100%
Yes.
also be used for food supplies
Okay.
and things that go back into the community.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Susan, and I'm not looking to put you on the spot, were we going to address anything, I don't know if you can or wish to, about some of the comments made at the last meeting?
Oh, yes, I can address that. So,
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think
nope,
it's.
I
gonna
am
be
prepared,
important.
thank you. I had it on my notes, I handwritten, and that's why I didn't read it. So, as you recall, there were several comments made at the last meeting regarding the Maple Shade EMS. It was from a former employee that had been let go from the EMS, and again, I want to clarify that the EMS is, while they are our Maple Shade EMS, they are a private entity from us, so we don't handle their hiring. That's all done with Rob Tobin and his chief, but as chief. But I would like to say that, lo and behold, the state came out and inspected over at the EMS. Rob, immediately the day after the meeting, I spoke to him, and he had all of the documents that I asked him. He had every bit of training. I had every EMT's number. He had provided it all to me. There was no question, as I didn't think there would. In light of the inspection from the New Jersey Department of Health, even that was fine. Rob has everything in place. There are actions that needed to be taken place, but Rob had already addressed all those prior to them even coming down. So I am confident that our EMS is able and certified and trained. There is no reason for any alarm. Unfortunately, those were just some negative comments that that had to be addressed, but they were. Rob, I don't know if you want to add anything, but again, like I said, Rob provided everything. I have it all right here. I have the date that it was received. He's working on everything. I think the one thing that Rob didn't have for the inspector yesterday was the OSHA reports that I have to hold, and I think that was just, she didn't realize that it's something that we do because we have the workers' comp. So I immediately sent them to him, and he was able to send them up to her, so.
So is that another case like, kind of like Facebook, where somebody comes up to the microphone and throws out poison pills, everybody hears it, and then there's no repercussion on them? It's just, they said it, people heard it,
And then it just gets spread.
And then it gets
far
spread
and
wildly.
wide.
Yep, but
Well, it does. We haven't had any repercussions from any residents. So nobody has not called 911 since then. I think
We need to,
we've been just as busy as we normally are.
we have to have you say your name and address.
oh, yeah, just say your name and address.
Sorry,
Because none of us know you.
sorry. We know you, but the rest of the world
That's
doesn't.
fine. Rob Tobin.
Maple
Chief,
Avenue.
Yeah,
Maple
Maple
Avenue.
So like I said, we had addressed these problems. We knew that they existed. We already, like I said, Susan's got the paperwork. We've already filed with contracts with people. OSHA was out Monday. She was there about an hour. We've addressed the issues. The issues were already being addressed. So, everything, like I said, we preemptively did it before she even got there for the inspection. So the building passed, the trucks passed. There were a couple of training things that we had already, like I said, we already contracted so everything's in place. It was just, and like Nelson said, the person gets to come up and say what they want to say, and us as the employer or EMS, we can't fight back because it is what it is. So we go through Susan, and Susan's very been supportive. You guys have been supportive. We're, like I said, no one's not called 911 in the past 2 weeks. So everybody who needed an ambulance got an ambulance.
Rob, we expected nothing less from you, brother.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Just to be clear, too, so that nobody thinks that, oh, those comments were made, and then, Rob made these changes before push. I have the contracts. They were done well before those comments were made. So, again, those were just things.
Just for one personal clarification, my CPR is done through the county. I don't use local. I go to the county because of the position I hold. Susan has a copy of it. It's from the training center. So, granted,
Yeah.
I'm a big guy, got it, but I've been here 30 years, continue to do it. I haven't stopped doing it. So, like I said, everybody knows where we are.
Yeah, we appreciate you, sir. We really do. Thank you very much.
Rob, we
And everyone
support you
with you.
because you deserve being supported.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
I think, too, much like the police, EMS is having a hard time getting members. I mean, it's becoming more and more difficult to get people, and, they're doing it. They're answering the calls. I see his call run log every month, and they're not going down. So, and the cost to make the runs. I think what do you get for the Medicaid? Was it $57, $60, or $61? Oh, 75. Sorry. Yeah, $75 flat rate to make that call, to run, and he's running all over the place. So it's difficult for them.
Thank you, Susan.
Yep, sorry, and I apologize, it was on my report.
Okay. Chief, police report.
Thank you, Mayor. As it was mentioned earlier, just condolences out to the Anizek family. Mike Sr. Retired as a sergeant with us. When I started in '95, I think he was a detective at the time, and then eventually became a sergeant back in patrol. And Tom Hilbert was a SLEO part-time officer for us, and then he eventually landed a job over at DRPA where he worked for many years. So just condolences to the Hilbert and the Anizek family on their loss. Now, it's been a bit since I've been here with vacations and some schedule changes, but I'll run down the 6 items that I have spelled out for you tonight. First, as I'm sure Susan alluded to, obviously we had our milestone reach with accreditation. It was just a tremendous amount of work to get to the point. We've never been through it before. We've heard a lot of stories from other agencies that have been through it. But you have two outside entities coming in. One was a active chief from another agency, and one's an active lieutenant from another agency who are accredited. And they're basically coming in and they're going over your organization and operation with a fine-tooth comb. Now with the advent of certain policy systems that we have as part of accreditation, they're able to electronically look at a lot of the policies and get that work out of the way, which is great, because in the past, the assessment could take 2 to 3 days to do it all. Now we can get it done in one day because they do a lot of work before they get there. But they came through, they inspected everything, they were very happy. Normally when you end the day with just basically talking about what the future holds, you're in a good spot. We didn't get gigged for a single item, which was great to see. I give a lot of that credit to Captain Sean Hassan and our records clerk, Heather Capate, did a phenomenal job. We contracted with Lexipol, and their Rogers Group used to be the name of the group, but they sold to Lexipol. So we contracted with them and used the forfeiture funds to bring them in to help us accomplish this, because they're the experts in the area. This is what they do. So we brought them in, and that made all the difference in the world to have Jerry, who is our liaison, be able to come in and guide Heather and Sean. So everything went fantastic. Next steps for us is they submit their report to the accreditation board for the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. October, I should be going down there mid-October, taking the team with us. We'll go before the accreditation board. They'll go over our report, ask whatever questions they choose. We'll obviously be prepared when we go down there. And then the next step would be the awarding of the certificate. So I've already talked tonight with Harry Delgado, who runs the program for the state chiefs. I've asked him if he'd be willing to come to the council meeting in November and present us with our certification. I think that would be a neat thing to do. I know he's a good speech maker, so I think he does a nice little presentation that surrounds the certificate. But, overall, everything went really well. We were pleased with where we're at. And when you're in the accreditation world now, like we get a month off, and we're already starting to start building the proofs for the next year, because every 3 years you go through this process. So you have to have proofs in line for year 1 that shows you did all the standards, year 2, and year 3 they're coming back in again to go over everything to make sure you maintain the standards all throughout that time. So we have all our policies in place. That was the one thing that they did admit. You guys did a great job building the policies. I wrote most of the policies, probably 80% of them, when I was an investigative lieutenant back in 2007, 8, 9, 10. And Sean basically just took those, brought them current, and then added probably another 20% that we had to get into the mix. So overall, like I said, everything went really well. We were proud of our team. They did a great job.
May I ask a question on that?
Sure.
What does having accreditation mean?
So it's a few things. Number one, just from lawsuit thresholds and insurance purposes, when I have a meeting every year with the Mel and the Jeff. So I have Jay Montgomery comes in, retired Chief Harry Earl is our liaison. He goes over like all the recommendations and best practices that our insurance company likes us to have. And one of the things that he always asks is, are you accredited? And I told him, it's in the mix. We will get accredited. Trust me on that. So that's one of the things. And then, with lawsuits and stuff, one of the good things is they know you're accredited. So a lot of the areas of attack, generally speaking, you've already have built-in defenses because you have policies. And as long as everybody followed those policies and you can prove that, then it's another layer of defense for the township and for the police department. So it's a good process to have, and it really does create standardized best practices throughout the industry, and that's really what we're based off of. There's another layer above this. We're not going to entertain that. That's over 400 standards. That's called CALIA. There's one agency that I know of in the area that's CALIA certified, but that can really burden the officers with a tremendous amount of paperwork, and everything is controlled in terms of their discretion, and it could create some issues for officers in a smaller department like ours, because it is very labor intensive. You got to have dedicated staff doing that full time to be able to manage that. So we're going to just stick with the accreditation from the Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. I think that's more than sufficient for our agency at this point. Next thing I just wanted to say is just thank you for everybody who came out to National Night Out. Obviously, Misty killed it. She did a great job. I know most of you were up there. Appreciate everybody coming up and supporting us. I really want to just thank, the Chaplain Corps, our nonprofit, the Maple Shade Police Chaplain Association. Dave and Timmy and Public Works did a phenomenal job. They were up there all day with us helping out, troubleshooting as they always do. Rick and Jay from the school district, I appreciate the superintendent lending us everything that she does every year without question. But their whole team, setting up, breaking down, just a tremendous amount of work. I want to also just thank all the police department, the employees, their families who came up. It takes a lot in today's day and age to expose your families publicly. And, they do that at this event. So it's just our way of kind of showing a little love back to the town. We had over 40 volunteers. We couldn't do it without the volunteers, so thank you so much to the volunteers who jumped on board and came out and helped. And, the whole basis of everything that we do surrounds the business community. If it wasn't for the business community and the donations that they make, we would not be able to put on a free family fun event, but we can do it because of their generosity and dedication to the town. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that because it was really important. We have our big thank you banner. We were able to do a couple of things for advertising with signs up there. I know Nelson mentioned it at the nonprofit years ago. Can we do signs? And, Misty was able to get it accomplished with Steve this year, which was great to see that individual businesses got acknowledged for what they sponsored as far as the event goes. A lot of positive feedbacks on some of the new things that we had. A couple disappointments with just some technical breakdowns that we had with one of our vendors for one of the items that Misty picked out. So we're going to kind of look and see what we're doing. We are trying to get some events that are in there for the older teens and for some of the adults. So we did the axe throwing, which there was no accidents. Everything is run pretty safely. But that was a popular event all night long, axe throwing. And the people were super nice, and it really went over well. So, just again, our first responders, fire EMS, Rob's always out there supporting us. Fire department was out there supporting us. I mean, we pretty much Fort Knox that place up when it tries to get a car through there and stuff. We have everything blocked off pretty well. So, again, just something that we just appreciate all the support that we get. Event would not be what it is without a whole town-wide effort to put it on for everybody. And I think the nicest thing that we saw was so many young families coming out with all their kids. And that's the motivation to keep getting out there and doing it. And I know, the newsletter came out and Misty did her custard with a cop, and that went over super, super well. And so just very happy with what we're seeing and what's been developing from the community affairs officer and what Misty is able to put together. Next thing I just wanted to hit on real quick is in July of 2023, Judge Breland from the Burlington County Superior Court accepted a guilty plea for aggravated manslaughter and sentenced the accused to 25 years for the death of our victim, Michelle Johnson. She was murdered at Bel Air Motor Lodge back in May of 2022. I just want to give a shout out to our team from the patrol division, to the detectives, unrelenting in their pursuit of a whodunit crime. Burlington County Prosecutor's Office Major Crimes Unit did a phenomenal job as well. And between the work of everybody involved there, they really put it in a position that this subject really had no other choice but to plead guilty because we had everything that we needed to prove that crime in court. So I don't like to mention the bad guy's name. I'd rather remember the victim. So to the Johnson family, hopefully they have some peace knowing that we're able to get some closure on this one. In mid-August, our officers were dispatched out to Hometown Studios for a domestic dispute. Upon their arrival, they end up locating a male subject in a car with a large knife to his throat. As the officers got out there, they're quickly scrambling to try to just cordon off the area. And as they're trying to engage this subject, duplicately trying to set up a plan for a variety of things that could happen in this type of situation. The officers were able to start engaging with the subject, and it took a little bit of time, but finally we were able to get him to drop the knife, finally enabled to get him to open up the car door, finally get him to come out of the car without us really having to go in and force a situation. So at the end of that, we were able to get the subject on the stretcher and off to the hospital. I know the sergeant came down the hall to tell me the officers did an absolute phenomenal job. It was like a rapidly unfolding situation, but they were able to quickly adjust. And again, I go back to the training that we do in June each year with the scenario trainings, and we run these scenarios, and we give the officers a chance. If you're going to make a mistake, make it in the scenario. So when we're doing it real, it counts. And you're seeing the net effect of that training in real time, and that's what's good to see. So they did a phenomenal job. Very proud of the officers. It was Officer King, O'Connor, and Mike Mastrangelo. The three of those officers did a great job of just de-escalating that subject and being able to get him the help that he needs in relation to what took place that day. Next, September kicks off the fall food drive season for us. So I met with Misty earlier in the week, just basically going over what everything is going to be happening for us going forward. So in September, we're doing our school food drive. That's a competition amongst the grades in the school district. The winner will get a pizza party sponsored by our nonprofit, PBA Local 267, Police Department, and we'll team up with the Chaplain Corps as well and provide pizzas to the winners of that particular grade. We did pretty good on that food drive last year with the school district. Once that goes down, the next two that go back up, and generally I work with the Business Association on one half of this. Councilman Wiest is usually involved with me as well, but we'll do the townwide food drive where we have the businesses participate in collecting those items up. But duplicately, for Maple Shade organizations only, we'll do the youth and sports group food drive as well. And our nonprofit has agreed to hand out cash prizes for those. So for anybody who's interested, it's $1,000 for first place, $750 for second, $500 for third, $250 for fourth. It is on the honor system. It's by the total amount of items that you raised. So, winners sometimes are between 2,000 to 3,000 items have been the winner count. So that's a good amount of food that we bring in. And we'll probably wrap that up, and I'll talk about it the next meeting what the wrap-up will look like, but we generally try to wrap that up about mid-November. So the food bank has enough time to be able to break the food down and set back up for Thanksgiving. And then Misty, you obviously coordinate with Terry, because I know we had turkeys donated to us last year, and we try to put the turkey dinners together for families in need and be able to get them back out the door. So that's what we're looking at as far as the food drive goes. And then through the money that we raised earlier in our year for the Beards for the Year, we're also going to make a cash donation on top of that. We'll be doing a total of $2,000 donation to them that I held off to the side. And we'll do that in addition to all the food that we raise. So we should be able to set them up pretty good heading into the fall. Our grab-and-go food box is directly stocked by the food bank. And, Dara, my secretary, and the ladies in records generally stay on top of it. If somebody's out of pocket, I jump in and cover it. But that's been steady busy. We're filling that every week. People are coming in and grabbing food. And with the VOA there, a lot of times if they're going out on a situation, they'll grab a bag or two and head out the door, and then we'll replenish that. But that's been a very good and successful item that we've had for the community to use. And then lastly, yesterday, myself and our administrative team went up and met with the prosecutor of Burlington County, Lucia Bradshaw, and her top team. They had asked us to come up for a meeting about a new program called Arrive. It's a program that's been started by the Attorney General's office. You may have heard of the pilot program they were doing in Cumberland County, where they paired up a trooper with a mental health specialist riding together and going out on patrol. But there are a couple different variations of what the program can look like. They reached out to us basically because, one, they know that we have already built systems here in town, which, frankly, they like the fact that we have a system that's already built out that they can kind of jump into, because this is going to happen fast when it happens. But I haven't done anything on the social services program without bringing it to you all to make sure you know what we're doing and why we're doing it. We addressed a lot of issues with them. It was really a listening session for them to hear from us. What have we been experiencing? What have we been seeing? In the county, everybody knows we've dealt with probably the single largest amount of very challenging mental health consumers. Chief Tobin and I talk regularly about some of the issues that we experience. I did address some of his concerns about some of the squads shuttering, like we had one next door that shuttered. They were not aware of that. They are now. They're going to be talking with the Department of Health and expressing some concerns with their liaisons and stakeholders. But essentially what they're looking to do is to take the Arrive program and stand that up in Maple Shade, take what we have existing right now and build that out a bit more. And, I told them, like, I need to know, what your vision is. Are you seeing this more as somebody in the car with the officer? Because we would really prefer to see them working an evening shift, because that's when we see the bulk of stuff happening. I'm not saying things don't happen during the day, they do, but the most challenging situations generally happen in the evening hours. We relayed that. I don't know if that's where we'll end up, but right now we have Legacy in our building twice a week. They're aware of that. So I think what they're planning to try to do is maybe stand something up the full week, like at least for 5 days. So, there's still a lot of discussion that has to happen. It was a pretty lengthy meeting to kind of get into the ins and outs of what we're dealing with right now. But I think they're very appreciative of the fact that we were willing to come up, share what our experiences have been, explain how we've built things up. They didn't realize a lot of things about Maple Shade that we educated them to. And so I think they left with a greater understanding of really what the challenges are that are out there. And, there's that ongoing debate between a lot of facilities have closed down because of abuse and things of that nature. And, you switch to this community-based model, but are people getting the treatment that they need in the community-based model? And if, A, they're either too difficult to deal with and you won't deal with them, or they can't access the services that they need when they need them, that's where the challenges start to come in, and then they fall through the cracks, and we deal with them, Chief Tobin and ourselves. And, when you're losing squads, Chief Tobin's always been very good about helping us transport people who are in crisis in a stretcher versus the back of the police car. But I have to plan for the back of the police car scenario. I prefer not to do that, but if I have to, by law, technically, I'm supposed to be the one that will do that transport of a person who's being involuntarily committed. The problem is the ability to injure yourself, to damage the car. That's where the concerns start to come in. And that was part of the discussion of just the safest way to be able to transport people who have to go against their will. So you have a discussion with folks. We're going to try to de-escalate to a certain point, but at a certain point you have to say, okay, enough's enough, like we're going to have to go. And that's a lot of times where we try to avoid that scenario if we can. So right now, that's part of the challenges that are going to be before them on what we do. The goal, I think, is to try to intervene much earlier in the process than what we do. And we had just stood up another pilot with Legacy to give the officers the ability to make a referral if they deal with somebody that they think is maybe starting to struggle with some mental health issues. So we actually have an ability to communicate with them now earlier in the process for them to come out. But by having this more robust program, it may be able to take that and make it more effective unilaterally across the board. So right now, that's where things are at. I'm expecting a series of meetings over the course of the next few weeks with some stake and shareholders involved in the process. They've already made it clear it's going to widen. There's going to be more people from the county and the state level involved, and then they'll come back and let us know, which direction they'd like to see us move in. So we've told them we're willing to help in any way that we can. But obviously we want to have a voice at the table, and we don't want stuff thrust onto us. I think the prosecutor has been understanding of that, and my expectation is just a good cooperative working relationship with them. They will be the conduit and liaison for us. So I expect things are going to go well when we're ready to move forward.
Any money involved with it?
Well, that's all part of what's happening. So the financing for that is really going to be handled on their side.
Okay.
We won't really be involved in that part. Unlike what we do with Straight to Treatment and GAP, this is something where the service provider, whoever that is selected to be, if it's Legacy, if it's Oaks, one of these other partners, they'll be managing that piece through, I think, the Department of Health or Department of Human Services. So they pretty much said, you guys don't have to worry about that piece. So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
So you don't need
it's
anything-
really just training our officers in the Arrive philosophy and techniques, and then be able to move it forward. And then obviously, I'll be engaging with Chief Tobin once we know what this is going to look like, because, you know, we're going to just see how all this plays out. But we made it clear the relationship that we have is unique. It's a special one, and we work very closely with EMS on a lot of times we're dealing with the consumers, and we want to just make sure that we can get them from point A to point B as safely as possible, without us getting hurt or them getting hurt. Yeah, exactly. So that's my report.
Any other questions for Chief?
Chief, I got to say, in the few short years I've been on council, I've seen your department really just stand up tall, and I want to thank you for that, everybody involved here.
Yeah,
And
we
Rob
appreciate it.
also, it's really, getting more involved as I did, obviously I see the amount of work being put into to making, you and your officers proud, and we appreciate that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I had a almost incident in front of my house yesterday. And I called it in because it was 2 o'clock, it was right around when school was letting out, and I was concerned. And Misty was out and 2 other officers. One I had never met. I'd seen, but I didn't meet. I didn't make that meet and greet that night. And I spoke with him, and what a nice man. I couldn't say enough about Maple Shade Police. Just a joy to talk to. And he said everything I thought I knew about the camaraderie in this Maple Shade Police Force. It's out there, and it was really nice because he didn't owe me anything. He didn't even know my name. He actually asked me my name, so we didn't know each other. But just a nice guy. It was nice.
Yeah, you're the secret Santas for us, so I get the feedback, and it's good to hear that. And I know one of the sergeants was just saying a similar thing before I came up here in the cafeteria this morning, because we have a new SLEA 1 officer that we just started training. His name's Joe Torres. And so he's just in the very beginnings of what we're doing right now. But, Joe came from another agency where he worked over the summer and stuff, and just the dynamic between that agency and this agency is woefully different. And so that's what we try to bring, a sense of family back. And just the things that we do, like with the swearing-in ceremonies and having a chance to get everybody together. I think it's important to do that. And, you heard my philosophy when I talked to Mr. Kurtz at that meeting with Camp-Secor. And, I do believe that. I think it's important to connect with the community and be out there and be present. And, the guys and girls are doing that and getting it done. So we appreciate it.
They are.
Okay, Chief.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief? If not, site plan.
Yes, there was a site plan.
Okay.
It was a beautiful sight sitting on the beach, right?
It was. What a site.
Plans to do it again.
There was a site plan review meeting. It was held Tuesday night, September 5 at 7 p.m. There were 5 applications. Everyone had the opportunity to present what they were proposing, and the board members gave their best advice moving forward, whether they're going to the planning board, the zoning board, or merely making an application for a business license. 2 presentations were new businesses hoping to come into town. One was a property subdivision into 3 building lots. Another was a proposal for a parking lot. And the other was the expansion of the business of the Smoking Dog at Kingsway Plaza Shopping Center. I don't know exactly where they're heading, to what boards, and I don't think it was totally clear at the end of it. But they're going somewhere.
Okay.
They're definitely heading somewhere.
You're headed
are.
somewhere.
All right. Any new business?
Yes, I do have just one thing for new business, if you don't mind, Mayor. Over the last week and a half, I've received several complaints regarding the shooting range, the sportsman club that we have here in Maple Shade. I know that one of the gentlemen reached out to the chief as well. I've spoken with him. I've spoken with 2 other residents as well. And they're just, they didn't know that the range was there when they moved in, and they're not saying anything that, it needs to go. It's not. Their concern is more that the sound that comes from it, and Maple Shade does not have any parameters in place for this type of noise. We do not have an ordinance. As I looked around at different townships, many do have ordinances for firearm ranges and whatnot. This isn't the first time that I've received complaints about the Gunman Sportsman Club. So it's something that they're asking if council would please be considerate and think about possibly putting in something, some sort of hours maybe of when the noise can be. You know, they also said, oh, there's a noise ordinance. Well, there is a noise ordinance, but noise ordinances, the police can't be going because in order for the police to enforce it, they actually have to hear it. They actually has to be happening, and then there's a decibel reader. And you have to have somebody that gets certified for a decibel reader. So that's out of the picture. But perhaps if council wants to consider it, again, we can put some things together. Maybe there are just some times. You know, when a resident says, oh, they were shooting, you know, all night till 11:30, 12 o'clock, well, okay, that probably means it was more like 9, honestly. And it's not that I'm discounting what they're saying, but there is a point there, too, that I understand that things aren't happening. But it might be something that council wants to consider, just looking at some of the others, especially, you know, as the towns around us, too, are being built up, you know, and we have more residents that are affected by it. Again, it's not getting rid of, it's just perhaps we should put in some parameters that address it.
Maybe you could have a meeting with the officers of the club and discuss it with them. And
I would like to do that.
Yeah.
And as long as council's okay with it, again, and just see what things we can come up with.
And said, yeah, I think they should be aware of the complaints and give them the opportunity to hear.
And they might all just automatically say, hey, listen, like, this is what we'll do.
Right, because you don't know what their, I don't know what their time frame is. I mean, I can't imagine that they're out there shooting at night. I don't know
It's
if they
not
have
late.
lights.
It's not
can't-
that late, right?
Dusk is normally what these ranges do. They do a dawn to dusk, you know, when it's light, because there
Right.
is a danger in
Yeah,
shooting
right,
in the
that's what I
dark.
couldn't understand.
Chief,
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if-
think, I did run into somebody who I did not even know was a member, and just in casual conversation, it came out that they were a member, and they did tell me that they have rules about when they can shoot.
Right.
And I think the original complaint that we were talking about was like 9:30 on a holiday, that somebody was out there shooting in the morning. Right, and the member was saying he thought the time might have been 10 or 10:30 is like the earliest you can start. So
Right.
it does appear to me that there probably is a set of standardized rules. Because remember, they have the lower range and they have the upper range. And when I did talk to the one gentleman on the phone, I explained to him that I believe the Sportsman Club's been around pre-1950, probably predated, I know it predated Deerfield and Fox Meadow, probably predated most of the homes that existed over in Linola, or they were probably being built around that time. So I said, you know, it's like coming in and trying to take a hard line on an organization that had things built up around them when they've existed the
Right.
whole time. I know the way you all are and what's fair, and trying to find some common ground. So I thought that would be the better approach is, you know, maybe, I don't think they were comfortable going over and having a conversation with the folks themselves. So I think they're looking for some
some help from us.
intermediaries, right, to jump in the middle and try to solve it for them.
And again, and I had expressed the same thing to the gentleman too. I said, listen, honestly, I didn't even know it was there until probably about a year and a half ago. I'm like, what do you mean we have a range? But I did tell the gentleman that it's been there forever.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's going to be more of working something out with them to see what their rules are. Again, I don't know.
Yeah, and
So as
see
long
what
as
they
council's
want, yeah.
okay with me presenting that to the members and finding out, we'll come up with something. And like I said, I'm hoping that what it'll be, we'll know their rules, and then
Right,
we can say,
right.
hey, listen, can you just make sure that you tell your members?
Yeah,
So,
I think
That
that's.
brings
the
up
way-
another question. Is there any update on what's happening with that gun store that was supposed to go on
Legacy?
Second Street?
so the last that I spoke with them, it was being held up on the ATF side, is what it was. So it was just more licensing and permitting. I don't know, have you spoken to either of them at all?
Last time I talked to Andrew was probably 5-6 months ago.
Okay, and mine
and,
was about 3 months ago, so
yeah.
that was the last. It was
Yeah, I
just-
mean, they were still building the inside. My guys have been stopping by when they're there to chat with them. A couple of my guys are friendly with him. But, you know, I think there was just some administrative processes that were dragging that out a bit.
Right.
And I don't know all the ins and outs of it, the
Yeah, because
details.
they had to
but-
come back before planning to get a.
Right, which they did, and we
Yeah.
approved.
Right.
But again, I think the process is just so backlogged and delayed that even our approval was just, yeah. Yeah, because that's been, what, 2 years, at least
Yeah.
2 years.
I mean,
Absolutely.
the
Right.
intent was they were still pressing ahead, my last
Oh,
conversation.
they
was-
100% are still pressing ahead, I
Well,
think.
they invested so much, yeah.
Good, good.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then that's how I will start. I'll just go.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Let's
do
go with
know, I think, an officer there.
Okay, good. So I'll reach out to you and get that information.
All right, any other new business? If not, I believe we have to have a motion to go back into closed session, correct?
Thank
We
you,
do.
Mayor, yes. No, so made.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We will go back into closed session. Any formal action may be taken upon the conclusion of the closed session.